our vision is of a world in which people's conflicts are being resolved and managed without violence. And so we go to places where that isn't happening yet. And as you know, that hasn't been the case in Liberia in the recent past.
Liberia was one of those countries in the early 1990s when the war was vicious, and yet it was not being covered, it was not getting the attention of, for example, the wars in the former Yugoslavia, which were going on at the same time. And so that's why International Alert got involved.
A lot of people got killed. There was a lot of destruction. My school got disrupted. I have family members that were killed.
The memories of that war make it necessary to work for peace and ensure that the experience is never replayed again.
Government always needs help, especially post-conflict. Their lack of resources, there's capacity issue, their infrastructure issue, there are a host of issues. I mean, we can manage, we can govern, but to have a critical third eye, to have someone who you believe doesn't have a stake in the process, but just to ensure that the rule of law exists, just to ensure that women participate, just to ensure that there is representation.
Like you said, they come and help guide or facilitate some of the processes that will lead us towards doing things that we think, would be helpful for us as a people. And like I gave example of, for example, the National Action Plan in 1325. And I think in as much as we've come from war, in as much as we want to move forward, that's basically what we want our international partners or friends to do, not come and say, this is what you must do, but help guide the way.
Well, women in Liberia are amazing. I mean, they play such a fundamental role in ending the war and making sure all the warlords stuck to their promises and to the peace agreement. And
there's just so much to do with the young women or the youth population in Liberia. So much that needs to be done. And it's really a serious challenge for us working with women.
If you want peace, put women in the picture means that we need to understand the integral importance of women's contributions to peace building and in post-conflict societies.
In Liberia, genuinely women are still spoken of and seen as and see themselves as chattels by their men folk. And when you go to a Liberian rural community deep in the bush, in the forest, it's really striking.
If you're raped, it's not really seen as a crime against yourself. It might be seen as a crime against your family, and so a lot of times reparation is giving money to the girl or the woman's parents, and in some cases the girl or woman is actually forced to marry the man who raped her.
The campaign Putting Women in the Picture is about exactly what it says on the tin. It's about women being in the picture as central characters and actors.
The work on gender-based violence is a project which spans Liberia, Sierra Leone and Guinea in 8 communities in those 3 countries, and works through community radio stations and local animators to get across the message of the unacceptability of violence against women.
My name is Jackson Spoon, and I represent the International Alert. It is a London-based peace-building organization that came to Liberia to help solidify the peace that we are beginning to search for in this country.
They put on these public awareness type theatre productions where we go out into the community and they really act out something that's happening. So for example, in the case of gender-based violence or sexual violence, they act out a scenario which is then used to discuss the situation.
Somehow we manage now.
That what we call domestic violence. Domestic violence.
And it's a really fantastic way of starting discussion and capturing people's attention. The topics of discussion were land rights, inheritance rights, the rights of women, and Flomo were absolutely fantastic in.
Alert has a network of 8 community radio stations which it sponsors or facilitates. And these are radio stations, FM radio stations, that operate in a fairly small radius in a vernacular language, or actually usually several vernacular languages.
It gives you an opportunity to bring people together to talk on the airwaves from different ethnicities about living together, about coexistence, about peace.
It's Monrovia with peace banners. It's a very, very Liberian event, then with plenty of people, also performers from the surrounding countries.
Africa's wonderful!
And the festival was used as an occasion not just for the sort of the performances, the dance, the theatre and the music, but also for bringing together the traditional leaders, the tribal elders, into a series of encounters with each other, discussing how they could best contribute to making a peaceful Liberia.
We bring men who have a very strong negative view about women. Now, through the dialogue processes, we would change their attitudes they have towards women.
Like demarginalizing women is good for everybody in society. It's especially good for those women and the people they help to look after.
In a country like Liberia, it takes the efforts of probably some tens of thousands of people working quite consciously and deliberately towards the goal of peace. And in a decade and a half, you may have the possibility of saying, well, we've got stability here now. And at any one time, it takes a couple of political leaders, 300 or 400 unemployed young men with access to weapons, and you've got a civil war on your hands.
We would ultimately measure success 20 years from now if we see that Liberia is making peaceful progress in which everybody, men and women, are improving their lot. And there are good systems of governance in place at the local and the national level.